Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Technology, Transmedia, and Today's Classroom, New Approaches to Teaching Early Math to Preschoolers. This is Stephanie Morris, Deputy Executive Director for Membership Engagement, Brand Advancement, and Professional Learning at the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and we're so pleased that you all could join us today. A couple of quick housekeeping matters before we actually get into the webinar. I want to let everyone know that today's webinar will be recorded and archived on our website, and we will send you the link in the near future so that you can share it with your colleagues. I also want to mention that if you have questions, and we hope that you do throughout the course of this presentation, we encourage you to submit them through the chat function of the webinar platform. We will be monitoring the incoming flow of questions over the course of the next hour, and we have hopefully reserved about 15 minutes at the end to answer them, so please submit them anytime. We'll keep an eye on them, and we will do our best to answer all of them at the end of the presentation. So with that, I just want to say how excited we at NAEYC are to be partnering with PBS KIDS and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to bring you today's webinar. And of course, there are several other important partners in the mix who you will hear from today as well. This is a really wonderful partnership for NAEYC. I hope that many of you were able to attend NAEYC's recent annual conference in Orlando, and if so, perhaps you attended the featured session on this topic as well, brought to you by CPB and PBS KIDS, as well as the Fred Rogers Center. We are really very pleased to present today's webinar as a way to continue providing this kind of content and these kinds of resources, as we know it's a topic that's critically important to our members. The presenters you will hear from today are a diverse range of educators and experts who know firsthand about how to use developmentally appropriate ways to incorporate technology and transmedia in the classroom and in ways that foster strong family engagement and community engagement. They include, in addition to myself, Pamela Johnson, Executive Director, Ready to Learn, CPB, Roberta Schomburg, Professor Emerita, Carlow University and Senior Fellow, Fred Rogers Center, David Lowenstein, Senior Director, Ready to Learn, PBS KIDS, Jean Crawford, Senior Manager, Teacher and Family Content, PBS KIDS, Devin Stephen, Director, Ready to Learn Community Engagement, CPB, Cathy Cook, Manager, Digital Early Learner Projects, WQED, Pittsburgh, Gina Maffiola, Manager, Digital Early Learner Projects, WQED, Pittsburgh, and Sue Polajak, Co-Director of Quality Initiatives, CASE, our an affiliate of NAEYC in Pittsburgh, as well as Susan Friedman, Senior Director, Content Strategy and Development for NAEYC. In terms of the agenda that we will be presenting today, we really thought long and hard about how to present something that would help educators think about setting the stage and creating the right framework for media use inside and outside of the classroom. We'll be talking about building content with the PBS KIDS Math Framework. You'll be hearing a little bit about a new show, Peg+Cat, which I'm sure many of you are already familiar with, and the Peg+Cat Transmedia Experience, as well as how educators can teach with Peg+Cat resources in the classroom, and again, how to extend it and foster stronger family engagement and encourage the use of it in the home setting as well. Of course, Peg+Cat in the community is also something you'll be hearing about, especially from members of local stations. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about other resources that are available from NAEYC for early math learning. And as I mentioned, we will save the last 15 minutes of this webinar for some Q&A. The goals for the content you'll hear about today, as you know, children are more media savvy than ever. There's a new study from Common Sense Media that shows 85% of homes with children of the ages of 8 and under have mobile devices, so it's prevalent, it's everywhere. We know it's something that our members and many early childhood educators are thinking about and considering and grappling with. So today's content will focus on helping educators gain practical knowledge about selecting and using quality media, knowing where to find free and trusted early math resources for classroom and home use, and understanding ways to partner with your local PBS station to support early learning through technology and media. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Pam Johnson to talk to us a little bit more about Ready to Learn.
We're having some audio problems here.
Yeah, I'm getting one note about it.
Yeah, I got one.
Hi, we're just checking out our audio right now. I think we're back on track. Thank you. This is Pam Johnson at CPB. Thank you so much for being here today. We're really excited to be partnering with NAEYC and to be reaching out to colleagues in the field. The Ready to Learn initiative is the fuel behind what you're going to be hearing today. We are stewards of this federal effort. We're partners with the U.S. Department of Ed. We've had a wonderful opportunity to build high-quality early math content over the last 4 years, and the focus today on Peg+Cat is one of the outcomes of this work. And you're going to hear a lot about Transmedia, how we're connecting learning across media platforms for children, and how we're doing really deep research on this work, and it's for the field, and we know that it's working. I would like to go to our next slide, dealing with research. What I have to share, and it's really exhilarating, is that as we've built this content, we are required and eager to do major research on all of this content that we're building. And so, we have quite an evidence store built up here. And what we're finding is that this approach of really working with transmedia content in the classroom and in homes and in the community, it's leading to significant learning gains for children. And not just for kids themselves, but for the families as well. Very significant findings for families, too. They're spending more time with their kids on math. They're aware of math concepts, math elements, and how to support those in everyday life. And it's very exciting to see that. And then the findings for our educators are really important, too. It's very empowering because the media is such a high quality, and it brings a lot of supports to the learning equation, and it actually helps illuminate information in a new way for educators, too. So it's been very empowering for the educators to work with it. So we're excited to enter into the world of Peg+Cat, and we're going to begin with background and context-setting information from Dr. Roberta Schomburg.
Thank you so much, Pam. I wanted to just give a little bit of framework for those of you who are not familiar with the position statement. I assume many of you are. In January of 2012, the National Association for the Education of Young Children and the Fred Rogers Center adopted a joint position statement on technology and interactive media as tools in early childhood programs serving children from birth through age 8. Chip Donahue from the Tech Center at the Erickson Institute and I co-chaired the work group committee that developed this statement, and it took us about 2 years to gather information and get feedback, and many of you may have participated in some of those sessions, so we thank you. On to the key messages. Technology and interactive media can be effective tools to support learning and development when used intentionally and appropriately. That is one of the premises of the position statement. So what do we mean by intentional use? Well, intentional use means that we're using technology and transmedia in the right ways, under the right circumstances, and by those who are skilled in their use. It also means we know that intentionality implies being mindful of what we are doing and why we are doing it. So what do we mean by appropriate use? Well, developmentally appropriate practice guides most decisions that we make, I would say all decisions that we make when we're on target in our early childhood programs. And in the use of technology, we also have to make sure that developmentally appropriate practice is guiding those decisions about whether to integrate technology and transmedia and when to do that into our programs. When we consider developmentally appropriate practice, of course, we're taking into consideration the child's age, the developmental level, the individual needs, the child's interests, linguistic background, cultural perspectives, and the abilities of the child. So all of this moves together and works together to help us develop effective uses. So we're going to be showing you some examples of effective uses of transmedia today, and we're really excited about this and hope that you'll keep in mind many of these characteristics that are emphasized in the position statement and that I have here before you. But these are things that effective uses we will see in the examples of effective uses. So these are hands-on, active, engaging, empowering activities, and activities that put the child in control. They also are activities that have adaptive and flexible scaffolds to help the teacher do individualization with children, and that these materials are used as one of many options. The role of the teacher then. The position statement was really clear that the teacher is the linchpin in all of this because it is the teacher who is responsible for the selection of the tools and materials and for the appropriate use in the classroom. We also know that what is very important is that these materials and these activities are integrated into the curriculum and integrated into the program, and that they're not used as simply as an add-on, but that it's integrated into the goals of the program, and certainly not used as a reward when the other work is finished. This is the other work that we're doing with children. And that the teacher is responsible for the ongoing evaluation of the effectiveness, paying attention to how children are using the materials, what's working, what's not working, what has to be tweaked. So as we move forward in thinking about technology and media use, we have to make sure that the materials we're using will expand access to new content and skills. And I think you'll certainly see some examples of this in today's webcast, that the experiences become routine and transparent, again, not as an add-on, but just a part of the program, and that the focus is on the activity or the exploration, not the technology itself. And, of course, it represents a balanced approach. Technology and media use has the potential to enhance learning and development and can support, without replacing, things like creative play, exploration, physical activity, outdoor experiences, conversation, and social interactions. So I'd like to close today with two quotations. One is taken directly from the position statement and is a summary of what I've said here today, that technology and interactive media are tools that can promote effective learning and development when used in the ways that I've described. And the second quotation is from our friend, mentor, and colleague, Fred Rogers, who reminds us over and over again to think of the children first, to listen to them, learn about them, learn from them, and to think of them first. Thank you all. I would like to turn it over to Pam Johnson from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Pam.
Hi, thank you. So what we wanted to thank you, Roberta. That was very insightful to hear about the position statement. Thank you for that. We now want to transition to the subject of the learning frameworks that support the content that we build through PBS KIDS and Ready to Learn. And what you're seeing now is the math learning framework. It definitely is reflective of the current thinking about early math. It's reflecting how we, in our educational communities, are putting increased attention so that we raise awareness of how important early math and preschool math is. This framework aligns completely with Common Core and other state standards, which early math practitioners and experts are indicating is needed. There is sort of a tying together here, too, with other big ideas that support these large domains in math education. So you can kind of see the four major domains: numbers and operations in base 10, geometry and spatial sense, measurement and data, and algebraic thinking. So these are the four really large domains of the math framework. And, you know, they help our producers and they help all of us working with this content in the field make the most effective use of this content. And what I should say, as we showcase some examples today from Peg+Cat, we're going to be really focused on that numbers and operations area. And in terms of the other area that we're going to focus on too, and it's a big part of our math framework, and it has to do with math standards for mathematical practices. And these are expertise areas that are important for children to know and understand, and they're meant for all learners to master and become very effective in these practices. And so things like making sense of problems. So if you look to the lower left of this slide, making sense of problems, persevering in problem solving, reasoning, all those things, those are really essential math practices, and you're going to be seeing these evidenced in the media that we look at today. You're going to see our characters playing these out in their activities in the media themselves, and so it's very important. So I just wanted to point these to you, and transition now over to my colleague David Lowenstein at PBS KIDS.
Thanks, Pam. Hi, everybody. Really great to be with you all. I get the fun, well, all of it is fun, but I get the very fun part of sharing some amazing content that has come out of our Ready to Learn grant, the PBS Ready to Learn grant, through our friends at the Fred Rogers Company, the executive producers of Peg+Cat, and the creators themselves, Jen Oxley and Billy Aronson, created this incredible animated world, Peg+Cat, about our protagonist, Peg, and her sidekick friend, Cat, and all of the adventures that they get into, where they have to use problem solving and teamwork and collaboration and math skills to solve the day. And it's for preschool children, so really, kids between the ages of 3 and 5. Although kids as up into the early elementary years really seem to enjoy the show, as well as parents and siblings and educators. The 4 major learning goals of Peg+Cat are to encourage kids to see math as very fun and worthwhile. It's to broaden children's understanding of what math thinking involves and present examples of useful strategies for children to try when they feel stuck. And I think we all can relate to that. And Peg and Cat employ counting backwards from 5 to 1 whenever they get into a problem that just seems too overwhelming. So they really do model an enthusiasm and useful strategies. The other goals are to inspire kids to approach problems with creativity, with resilience and grit and humor, and also to present kids with a range of age-appropriate math concepts and skills. So our approach through Ready to Learn, through our federal grant from the U.S. Department of Ed, is really around this idea of transmedia, of engaging children with the content through multiple entry points, through the same characters that they get to know and love, but through story and narrative and skill focus to really reinforce those across different media modes and different ways to consume the media. And so, and through this transmedia approach, we've come up with a kind of a watch, play, explore, share philosophy, where we believe that if kids can watch some type of linear video, so in this example, this beautiful slide that's illustrated by Jen Oxley is in the Beethoven problem. You get to watch an episode and learn about the various skills that are trying to be reinforced in the episode, and you get to listen and sing along, and so it's very interactive watching, but watching nonetheless. And then we shift over to playing, and we have lots of mobile-friendly HTML5 games and mobile apps that continue the learning that you learned in the Beethoven problem. For example, the Big Gig app, which is available for Android and iOS devices, gets kids familiar with the show to also engage in the same type of counting and ordinal numbers and patterns curriculum that they witnessed in the Beethoven episode. And then through the exploring part of this transmedia approach is really what through our animated interstitials, is about 1 minute in between the A story and the B story of a half hour of Peg+Cat, where regardless of where Peg and Cat have gone in the episode, whether it's to the Purple Planet or to a farm, they're always in the bathroom for this animated interstitial, something that's very familiar to all kids, where they can actually connect learning objectives from the particular episodes and the digital games with real-world play activities that kids can try at home. And then finally, the share part of the Watch, Play, Explore, Share Transmedia approach is really our effort to give kids and their caregivers lots of opportunities to take the worlds of Peg+Cat into their homes or into their classroom settings, into their kitchens, and to create all types of wonderful activities using stick puppets and pizzas and playing cards. So there's lots of fun activities that kids can share with each other and with their families and caregivers. And then, of course, reading is always a part of Transmedia, and there are wonderful books for Peg+Cat that have come out, including the Chicken Problem and the Race Car Problem. So definitely encourage you to check those out as well. So there's so many resources that make up Peg+Cat. Obviously, there's the broadcast episodes on television and the animated interstitials, the online games and the mobile app that we spoke about. There's also great teaching tip modules and videos. So we partnered with the Boston University School of Education, who have taken Peg+Cat resources and created teaching tips to help preschool and early child care providers understand how to use the content, how to integrate it into their lesson plans. And then we actually have videos of an educator in Boston in her classroom modeling the use of the teaching tips and the Peg+Cat content. So those are really awesome resources, along with other hands-on activities. We have great after-school and summer adventures that were created by our partners at the Maryland Public Television. And we also created a 100th Day of School event with Peg+Cat materials to get kids in classrooms celebrating the 100th Day of School with their friends Peg and Cat. And all of these resources are available on pbskidslab.org. They're all free and readily available, and there's a toggle button on Lab where you can go back and forth from English and Spanish, so there's lots of Spanish resources available there as well. And now I'd like to actually dive in a little deeper with Peg+Cat and the Transmedia experience. So this first slide you see what I mentioned a little bit earlier about an A story and a B story. So every 30-minute episode of Peg+Cat consists of these two 11-minute stories with an animated interstitial in the middle. And the idea is to introduce a math topic, a skill, a practice, a habit of mind in the first episode, and then within the second episode, the B story, we go a little bit further and offer some more challenging math in the B story. So we introduce it in the A story, and then go a little further in the B story. So in the A story of this example that teaches size correspondence and number sense, we have the Chicken Problem, which you also saw has been put into a book form, and there are digital games that are related to this episode that we'll also check out in a minute. But in this first episode, we're working with the number 100, and we simply learned that 100 is a lot. It's a lot more than 10. And the primary math focus is simpler than what we'll see in the B story, and it's size correspondence. Little goes with little and big with big. So in this next slide, you see four little screens, and it starts off where Peg and Cat are having their perfect picnic with a pig on a farm, but they discover that they have 4 pieces of pie and they only have 3 of them. So they think it's a big problem until Cat notices that there's a chicken coop in the background, and he opens the door of the chicken coop and brings a little chick to the perfect picnic, and now there are 4 of them to have the 4 pieces of pie, and they're all the pies are equally related to the size of Peg and Pig and Cat. But then, before they know it, there are all these chickens that are running around, and Cat forgot to close the door of the chicken coop. So now there are 100 chickens running wild around the farm. And on the next slide, they think that they've solved it because they've scooped up about 10 chickens, but then they realize 10 is a lot less than 100, and 100 is a lot more than 10, and they still have a lot more chicks to bring into the coop. And they need to do it before the farmer comes back and sees that all these chickens are out of the coop. So they have a really big problem. They start freaking out, but then Peg counts backwards from 5 to 1, relaxes, and Cat helps her. Actually, Ramon, who is another character that's always lending a helping hand, comes with wheelbarrows and different contraptions that help get the chicks rounded up and back into the chicken coop. So a really funny, great episode. You notice the graph paper backgrounds, beautiful illustrations, great songs, and then at the end there's a kind of a number that they do to celebrate getting all the chickens back into the coop. And I think we have a clip that we can play now about that.
Now we can have our perfect picnic with a pig. The sun's shining, the pie smelling sweet, and the chickens are running wild. Chickens running wild? Cat, did you leave the door to the chicken coop open? Didn't the farmer say not to leave the coop open no matter what? Because the chickens will get out and they're 100 chickens, and that's a lot? Looks like we've got a really big problem. We've got to get 100 chickens back into the coop before the farmer sees. So let's all carry as many chickens back home to the coop as we can. Ready? Where's that pig? Okay, I know you're not used to solving problems because you're a pig. But we've got a job to do, so let's do this thing. Picking up chickens, one chicken. Calling all chickens, come to me. Peek-a-boo chicken, come out of that shoe. Picking up chickens, now I got two. Picking up chickens, 1, 2, 3. I got chickens all over me. Now take your chicken to the coop and be quick. A chicky, 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 chick, chick.
All right.
We did it! All together we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chickens back into the coop. Now we just have to get...
Whoa.
There are still so many chickens. 100 really is a lot. It's like way more than 10. 10 is way less than 100. Don't worry, Cat. We'll get those chickens in there somehow. We won't give up. We won't chicken out. I said chicken out, and they're all chickens.
David, you can continue.
Okay, thanks. So, so after the chicken problem, the B story of this episode is the space creature problem. And so in this episode of Space Creature, we go from counting to 10 and talking about 100 to counting all the way to 100 by tens. And so the next slide you see 4 little screens there, and it's Peg and Cat on the purple planet with their friend from the purple planet named Richard. And Peg almost loses her blue marble, her shiny blue marble, which is so cool. And so Richard gives her a safe to put it in, and the combination to the safe is set to 100, 100. And then they're just hanging out, having fun, and a rocket ship comes and lands, and it's actually the chickens and the pig from the previous episode from the farm. And all of these 100 chickens and pig are on the purple planet now, running around, having fun. There's only one problem. There's a purple planet, a citizen of Purple Planet named Big Mouth, this big blue furry creature who's pretty harmless, although he does love to eat anything that's little and yellow, which presents a very big problem for the chickens, the little chicks. So Peg and her friends have to really come up with a way to gather these 100 chicks up before Big Mouth wakes up. And as in the first episode and so many other episodes, Peg's and Cat's friend Ramon happens to be passing by the purple planet. He's actually collecting space rocks for NASA and stops by to see Peg and Cat and shows them these little cartons that he has to collect space rocks. in groups of 10. And he lets everyone use these cartons to collect the chicks in groups of 10, and is able to collect all 10 sets of 10 chicks and get them back onto the rocket ship with Pig before Big Mouth can cause any havoc. And so they're all set to leave, and then they remember that Peg has her marble in the safe. They remember that the combination is 100. And so there's lots of reinforcement about how to count to 100 by tens, what 100 looks like, and then they sing a great song about the number 100 as they blast off in their spaceship back home. So it's a really, really fun musical episode, as so many of them are. And then, as I mentioned, the interstitials are the playful minute in the middle. And so in between the chicken problem and the space creature problem, there's the interstitial where they're making 100 toppings for pizzas using washcloths and things in the bathtub and having a lot of fun. But they're still dealing with the math used in the episodes. And then in the next slide, it just shows some of the digital games. So each interstitial, the 1-minute interstitial in the bathroom, the math in the bath sections, they encourage kids to go to the pbskids.org website where they can engage in more of the videos and the interactive games that are all there and free to use. And so one of the games that relates to the chicken problem is Scrub-a-Dub. And so you see, some of the animals that you got to know in the chicken problem are in these different wheelbarrows, and Peg needs to give them all baths and so they can all take a picture and look clean together. And she has to, correspond the size of the animal with the size of the wheelbarrow and the size of the soap. So it's all reinforcing many of the same skills that the kids were exposed to in the episode. And then there are offline activities like the chicken coop activity in the next slide that shows that also reinforces many of the same skills. And our math advisor, Skip Fennell, who has been a big part of Peg+Cat from the very beginning, he's pointed out to us that 10 is a benchmark number. So we and our colleagues, obviously at Fred Rogers Company, made it a key focus of our journey towards 100. And I'll just end also by just encouraging all of you to register if you're not already registered to the PBS Kids gift code website. Our mobile learning program is at pbskids.org/gift codes, where you can register and request as many gift codes and activity sheets in Spanish and English as you'd like. There are many gift codes for Android and iOS apps, including the Peg+Cat Big Gig app that you can distribute for free to parents and educators in your communities. And they come tied to activity sheets in Spanish and English that have book recommendations and activities that parents and educators can do in multiple settings and contexts. So thank you very much. And now I'm going to pass the mic over to my colleague Jean Crawford to talk about teaching with Peg+Cat at school and in the home.
Yeah, hi, this is Jean Crawford, and as David had mentioned earlier, that we partnered with Boston University School of Education to develop a series of transmedia lesson plans that enable a teacher to easily incorporate videos and games from Peg+Cat into their existing classroom instruction to enhance learning. The lessons are bundled together into a series of what we call teaching tips, and there are currently 3 Peg+Cat teaching tips with a combined of 12 lessons, and they cover counting, shapes, and fractions for first grade, counting and shapes for kindergarten. And each lesson is they're aligned with the Common Core State Standards and also the International Society of Technology and Education Standards. And the teaching tips also include a series of sort of teaching strategies for using educational media effectively in the classroom. And these strategies include things like keeping the lesson on, ways to keep the lesson on pace, ways to engage all the children in the classroom when you may have a few of them up at the board or at a computer playing the game, ways to support independent learning, and also using educational media to build vocabulary and also mediating gameplay. So these are some of the strategies that are included. Each of the lessons follow kind of a basic structure. Before playing the game or viewing a video, of course, you want to make sure the kids understand any vocabulary they might encounter in the game or video, any math skills they might need to have reinforced. So that's sort of up to the teacher in terms of what is needed for her class or his class. Then after building the background, then you're ready to sort of watch a clip together which introduces kids to the characters, to the storyline, to any specific concepts. Then before playing the game, you want to get ready to play by making sure the kids understand the instructions and model the gameplay for the kids, and also being sure to point out any special quirks that that might be in the game that the kids might stumble over. And then finally you play the game, and while playing the game, making sure that you are engaging all children, and then wrapping up the lesson, which includes sort of ensuring that the kids have sort of some strategies for carrying forward the lesson in the rest of the day, whether they're encouraging them to use vocabulary they learned from the game, later in the day, or carrying it home with them. And then explore with a friend is another. That's using sort of the same game once they've learned in the large group activity to then practice it in a learning center or playing with a friend. So next, I'm going to show you a clip. A teacher named Allison Fermetta, who is a kindergarten teacher in a Title I school in Chelsea, Massachusetts. The class happens to be an inclusion class. About half the kids are on an IEP. So you're going to see all of these sort of stages or sections of the lesson that I just talked about. You'll see her using that and incorporating it in her lesson. And it so happens that she will be using a clip from the chicken problem that David showed you earlier in this lesson, and she'll also be building background about numbers, and then they'll play a game called 3, 2, 1 Snack. So I'll probably best for you to see the clip, and then you can see it in action.
Today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about some numbers, we're going to talk about some new words, and we're going to learn how to play a new game with numbers in it. I want to show you that numbers can be represented in a few different ways. Numerals, these are the numerals, 1, 2, 3, 4. They can also be represented with words, and the words are written with letters, and they can also be represented with quantities. Do you see all these dots down here? Yes. Those are quantities. So what I want to do, which is going to help us when we play our game later, is I want to match these quantities to the numerals and the words up here. So watch me do it. I'm going to click on the quantity one to drag it up to the 1 box. Can somebody find the quantity of 2 and drag it up to the box? Nicholas? You touch it and you drag. There you go, to the number 2. Brianna, can you find the quantity of 4, and can you count the dots for us before you drag it?
1, 2, 3, 4.
There we go. Nice job. So when we play our game in a few minutes, this is going to help us. So we're going to watch a video from Peg+Cat. But before we do that, I want to show you something that's going to happen in the video. I want to show you a new word. This word up here says coop. A coop is a place that chickens can live. Right down here. This is a coop. So what do you think could happen if the coop had a door and the door was left opened?
The chickens run out.
You think the chickens might run out of the coop?
Of course.
Well, let's watch a video from Peg+Cat and let's see what happens.
Hi, smelling sweet, and the chickens are running wild. So many chickens, 100
How many chickens did they catch?
10.
They caught 10 chickens, but they needed to catch 100 chickens, which is a way bigger number than 10. I want you to talk to the person sitting next to you, and I want you to try to think of a way to solve their really big problem.
You get 100 chickens.
Talk with your friend sitting near you. Would anybody like to share the idea that they came up with? What do you think, Andrea?
We will get a bucket and put the a big bucket, and we're going to put all the chickens inside it.
In order for us to play the game, I'm going to have 4 friends come up. The first friend is going to find the number of snacks we need. The next friend is going to find the number of chickens we need on the roof. And the third friend is going to find the number of chickens we need for the table to dance. And then the fourth friend is going to ring the bell to start our chain reaction. So I'm going to have Tyler come first, stand right here. And then I'm going to have Amir come behind him. And we need to stand off to the side so everybody can still see the board. And then I'm going to have Brianna that wants us to find this many snacks. What number is that?
2. 2 popcorns.
2 popcorns. Can you count and find us the number 2?
1, 2.
Go ahead, click on the box.
1, 2.
There we go. Amir, you're going to find the number of chickens.
This many chickens.
Go ahead. There we go. Come sit down.
Here we go.
There's the egg. It's going on the hay and the music player, and Cat got his snack. What math skills did we need to know?
To put some numbers.
We needed to know numbers. So if he wanted 3 snacks, we needed to be able to find the box that had the amount of 3, the quantity of 3.
So each of the lessons in the teaching tips comes with a letter, a parent letter, that can go home, and it talks about, this is what your child learned today in the class using a game from Peg+Cat, and here's some other things you can do to build skills at home, the same skills, and also with a link to the game if they want to play it at home. And for more, we have lots more activities and things that you can do in the classroom on the PBS Kids Lab website, and you can see if you click on Peg+Cat, the little Peg icon, that will take you to a whole wealth of resources. And they're also on the left navigation, you'll see an Educator Resources button, and that will take you to where you'll find all the teaching tips, all the lessons, and also all the videos similar to the one you saw with Allison. We have lots more. So now I am turning it over to Devin.
Hi, everyone. This is Devin Stephen. I'm the Director of Ready to Learn Community Engagement at the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And one of the roles taken on in this project is working with our local public television stations around the country to implement this content with their community partners, which may include traditional classrooms, but also informal learning spaces like libraries and museums, community centers, housing authorities, and medical clinics. I've had the pleasure of working very closely with about 30 stations over the last 5 years, one of which is WQED in Pittsburgh, which has done exceptional work with learning, really with students of all ages, but especially with our audience of Ready to Learn 2 to 8-year-olds, their families and educators. So I'm going to turn it over to them and their community partner from the Pittsburgh AEYC to talk about the work that they've done in their community with Peg+Cat.
Thanks, Devin. This is Cathy Cook, and like Devin said, I'm from WQED in Pittsburgh, and we were lucky enough as a local PBS station to create a math mentoring program using Peg+Cat. And we knew that since PBS and Peg+Cat is accessible to almost all homes and families across the United States, that in our local Pittsburgh community that we would be able to bridge the home-to-school connection, and that by using the characters in Peg+Cat made students excited to learn math. So why we really wanted to have the Math IQ program was so that we could take a deep dive into some of our local communities, and we did that in 3 areas of Pittsburgh. And we really, really, really wanted to have an opportunity at depth in our communities and repeated interactions and events. And we were able to provide some tech and materials to our schools. And really, we just wanted to focus on math, but math as a whole with both kids, teachers, and parents. And we were able to do so many fun things with specific events, which we called appathons. When you heard about the free app codes, we were able to distribute those. And we did interviews geared towards parents, and we had a great time. The actual Math IQ program is a mentoring program where we took third graders as math mentors, and they used the Peg+Cat content to teach pre-K and K students. What we really found was by having at-home activities for parents, that this was a positive math experience that they had. By third grade, many parents had told us that they had already had a frustrating math experience, and often their first experience at home was trying to help their children with their math homework. And some of you may already know this, that math is taught a lot differently than it was when even I went to school, and that parents were frustrated with helping their own children with math. So by sending home these fabulous activities that revolved around Peg+Cat, it was a very light and happy experience. And with our local partners, the University of Pittsburgh, we did some research right around that math anxiety at home, and we really did find that by having these positive experiences both in and out of school with our mentoring program and using Peg+Cat, that we were able to reduce math anxiety even in the parents. So I think what you're going to see next is a video clip, just a short, quick video clip of how Math IQ was used in our 3 schools.
Well, I'd like to welcome you, boys and girls, to the Math IQ program.
After we do everything, you put a sticker on it, okay?
We're seeing third graders work with their preschool friends as mentors in our Math IQ program. The third graders mentor the little ones in various topics of math, like shapes, counting, all sorts of fun stuff. Math IQ uses digital media in the way of Peg+Cat, which is a show on WQED, and it teaches math to little ones.
And today,
Math IQ just started this school year, and we are doing this mentoring program in 3 different communities across Pittsburgh, in the north side, in Lawrenceville, and here at Propel Montour. What we're hoping is that third graders would build their confidence in teaching the younger students, and that the younger students would have a positive math experience early on.
all right, boys and girls, did you have fun? Yes, we learned all about fair share.
Hi, this is Gina. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what else we did through the Math IQ program. We were able to distribute 15 toolkits throughout our area as part of the scale-up and continuation of the program. We looked for input from local NAEYC and PACE affiliates. What was really important was the community connections that we made. Math IQ was just not used the way Cathy and I originally intended it to be used. They really took it and made it their own. So it was changed. We had parents that were used as mentors instead of preschoolers, kindergartners were the younger group of students that were used. Teachers also took the Math IQ toolkits and used them as centers in their classrooms. The really nice thing that you saw in the video, Peg+Cat has great musical strategies that instead of watching a 30-minute video clip of Peg, you can actually just use those short little clips of music or a short little interstitial that is created about Peg that are available on PBS KIDS or Lab and easily searchable. And that was one of the really great things that happened through Math IQ. We also thought that Sue Polajak from PACE was an awesome resource for us. She knew a lot about the area and the child care centers that were located in Pittsburgh that may actually take advantage of some of these great opportunities to incorporate media and early childhood spaces. So we also wanted to let you guys know that your local PBS station is a great resource for you and could probably help you to be able to access a lot of what you're seeing and a lot of the transmedia that you're seeing through this webinar. So thank you, and here's Sue.
Thanks, Gina. So I'm just going to talk for a few seconds about Pacey is actually working on a National Science Foundation grant. We're partnering with the Fred Rogers Center, the Fred Rogers Company, the University of Pittsburgh, and the Carnegie Science Center to engage 30 early childhood programs in southwestern Pennsylvania. We are going to produce a variety of opportunities for informal learning in math and the social-emotional domains through the world of Peg+Cat. In addition, we'll focus on intertwined math and social-emotional learning into professional development and family resources and activities, and that's one of our biggest strong suits here at PC. In addition to that, we're also going to have an opportunity to advance our evidence-based understanding of the capacity of media and technology to support children's learning, the role of non-cognitive attributes in math learning, and the impact on social mediation on children's media use. We've just been working on this project just for a few short months, but we're really excited to expose the children and their families in southwestern Pennsylvania to the world of Peg+Cat. So thank you so much, and now I'm going to turn it over to Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Friedman, Senior Director of Content Strategy at NAEYC, and I just want to mention very quickly that we have some resources on our website, naeyc.org, that complement your teaching practice as you look at developmentally appropriate practice, teaching math, and using technology. We have many resources on DAP, developmentally appropriate practice, and some specific to preschool, to kindergarten, to first and second grade. And also if you go to naeyc.org and you go to Teaching Young Children, you will find a number of articles and tips to help you with your math teaching and also integrating technology. And we have a number of books that you may be interested in. A developmentally appropriate practice focused on preschoolers, exploring math and science in preschool, and the young child in mathematics we think would be particularly relevant to you. And if you are members, which many of you are, there's going to be some extra resources in the members-only area, some excerpts from one of these books. And also, you have the archive of all the young children articles that have some specific content that you will find useful, including using technology as a teaching tool for dual language learners in your classroom. And now.
So we are going to wrap up with just a few questions. If you have any other questions, please feel free to use the chat box on the screen to enter those. We have about 5 minutes before we want to wrap up. I know many of you probably have to get back to work or on to the next appointment in your day. One thing to reiterate, again, that all of these resources are free and available on the PBS Kids Lab website, which is pbskidslab.org. And that all of these materials, the webinar deck, will be mailed to all participants after we wrap up today, and we'll also make sure some additional links to the resources we discussed today are sent as well. So just wanted to address a few questions that have come up, so I'm going to pose these to our group here and on the phone. First off, we've talked a lot about today a little bit English language learners and how these resources can be used to help them feel more comfortable in the classroom and to learn no matter what language they are comfortable with. So maybe, Jean, can you start about talking about some of the resources that are available, for, especially in Spanish, for English language learners?
Yeah, the PBS Kids Lab website is, you can view in Spanish or in English. There are a lot of games, Curious George, Cat in a Hat, that are in Spanish. But in addition to that, we also have some resources specifically for using our resources with English language learners. There's a teacher's guide for using our resources with English language learners, and I'll be sure to include a link to that among the other links that we'll be including after this webinar.
Wonderful. And I know many of our local stations can also be really helpful in not just to reaching out to Spanish-speaking families who may be English language learners, but other cultures and languages that may exist in your communities. It's one of the benefits of having a local public television station in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Another series of questions that have come up over the last hour are really about appropriate usage of screen time. And we had a great introduction from Roberta about that, and then we do highly recommend that folks check out the technology position statement. The American Academy of Pediatrics is also starting to shift and is expecting to revise their statement in the coming year. So there's lots of movement in this area right now. But maybe if someone can address about how we how these resources can help you make use of the limited screen time that you may be allowed, and also about the health of it too, like what's recommended in terms of time limits, so that you're not being too static in your activity, that you can be engaging and interactive and outside, and then also eye health and things like that too.
Well, I think hopefully it's evident after today's hour and the deep introduction to Peg+Cat that in terms of the resources, I mean, this is about an instructional enhancement. This is about really bringing concepts to life that are part of the curriculum that you have. And so in terms of screen time, I think it's almost, that's not the relevant question, I think, entirely, because this is an instructional, educational boost, and it's a combination of you and clips and books and games and hands-on activities. So you're masterminding, the expert teacher, as we saw today, is masterminding a series of learning experiences that are rich and deep, and media is part of the punctuation and part of the bringing a concept to life. And we are really excited about the American Academy of Pediatrics and the emphasis they have and that they're beginning to take on this whole area in terms of, it's really about quality content. It's really about curation, and the educator is the ultimate curator of all the media and resource assets that you want to use with kids. And it's about, really quality interactions and joint mediation. It's you and the children together. It's not a passive involvement with screen. So I think we're morphing to a new place. We're not morphing, we're evolving. Mm-hmm. We are transforming to a new place, and it's very exciting. Hope that helps. Yeah. You can tell I'm a little passionate about this.
Another question that's come up asking if Peg+Cat and all its accompanying resources is considered a comprehensive curriculum program for preschool math. I don't think so. I don't think you could ever replace an entire math curriculum with it. I think it's meant to be a supplement and to what's appropriate for you, what's appropriate for your state standards, your program standards, and what your children respond to and what your educators respond to. I don't think we ever intend for it to replace the entirety of what you do with preschool math, but it is certainly, we hope, a valuable tool to support that.
In those learning frameworks, too, we're really careful not to call it a curriculum framework. They're learning frameworks. They're to support learning goals that you have, which are very special to your situation and aligned to the curriculum you are using. It's more about integrating the resource with your curriculum.
Cathy and Gina, can you clarify, there's a question about the age range of the preschoolers that participated in your mentoring program with the third grade buddies? And which specific Peg+Cat resources were you using in that program?
Sure, this is Cathy. I can answer that. We did use our third grade buddies as the older children, and the younger children were either in preschool or kindergarten. And they were chosen by their teachers for various reasons. We did have English as a second language learners just to get them more comfortable using the English language. We had older kids, younger kids, but it really did work well with pre-K and K kids as the younger students. And as far as the specific Peg+Cat resources, we followed along with 9 interventions, so they were based on different areas of math skills such as counting, shapes. We used the 100th day resources, measurement, directional cues, fair sharing. So we covered so many different areas, and there were corresponding Peg+Cat activities in the classroom. There were digital tools, the digital games, apps. We used the apps. We used short video clips to get the kids excited about learning math for that day, the Peg+Cat video clips. And then there were corresponding home activities that got sent home with each child that were also Peg+Cat. But if somebody has more specific questions about the actual program, I'd be more than happy to work with whoever.
Thank you, Cathy. And I think we'll make sure that our contact information is included with follow-up materials for the webinar, so that if anybody comes up with additional questions afterwards, we can certainly follow up with you. Just a few more questions have come up about the screen time practice, and it's a very hard question to answer, and we turn to a lot of our experts and our partners to really help us with that. And again, the technology statement between the Fred Rogers Center and NAEYC is exceptional for that. We know typically that the American Academy of Pediatrics doesn't recommend more than 2 hours of screen time a day for children 2 and up. Below 2, they don't have any specific recommendations because they don't feel that they can make that statement right now. We recommend doing what feels right for you and what feels appropriate for you and the child to make sure that they are active and engaged. And again, I think a lot of the advice that Roberta gave at the beginning of this webinar can help you determine what is appropriate for you. And again, the technology position statement, which is up on screen right now, as a link, is a great place to go to for that information. So I think we've answered all the questions that exist for now. Thank you, everyone, for participating. And I think we're going to do it just over the wire at 3:03, so a little over an hour. But you had such great questions. We had such great presenters today. We're so thrilled to be able to talk about this with you. If you work with older age children, we'll be doing another webinar on OzQuad this Thursday. And you go to naec.org/webinars to find out more about that. But in the meantime, stay tuned for more information from us in your email, and have a great day.